What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Today, we've got a lot of interesting topics to talk about. We're talking about Shohei Ohtani and this astronomical contract that he may be receiving after this season with the Angels, whether it's with them or not. We're going to talk about the Yankees. Is this a good series for them to turn the season around, a Wake Me Up series? And is there more hope as Aaron Judge comes back to the lineup tomorrow? The Knicks were fighting for their playoffs lives in Miami. They are now down. We're going to hit on that as well. And lastly, we're going to hit on an interesting topic. One of Brett's favorite player, Andrew Luck, and the apparent talks that Washington reached out to Andrew and see if he was interested in an NFL reunion. Of course, Jim Irsay heard about it, sent out a tweet yesterday, and it's going to get interesting. With me, I got Corey over here to my left, Bretsky down to my bottom right, and of course, our host, Mr. Richie Hicks.
That was a great intro, Zappy. I appreciate it because you gave me an opportunity to drop the link on my personal page so that way we didn't have that little bit of an awkward pause. Let's start with the Knicks. I always like to get the bad news out first. Knicks fighting for their playoff lives in Miami, and quite frankly, they didn't fight hard enough. Very frustrated. They did not match Miami's intensity nor hustle. The one improvement that I did see out of this Knicks team tonight is they did shoot the ball considerably better than they did in games 1, 2, and 3. But transition defense, an issue. Guarding the three-point line, an issue. And I think the most glaring problem and the most shocking one for me is going into this series, I'm like, man, the Knicks are going to have an advantage on the glass. That has been their MO all season. And as much as it pains me to say this, you got to give Miami credit for the second chance points. And I'm not just talking about banging in the glass and out jumping guys. I'm talking about having a knack for just being where the ball's going to bounce. And you got to give Miami credit for that.
Right.
Eric Spoelstra's out coaching Tom Thibodeau as well. I have to give Miami all the credit there.
Spoelstra's a very good coach.
And this isn't his first time out coaching Thibodeau either. We saw it many times when he was with the Heat, and of course we had the Bulls that were in contention every year, but they just couldn't get past them,
Yeah, I mean, Richie hit on it. They were beating them to the ball faster, out hustling New York Knicks. Especially when it came to the offensive boards, they were quicker to the ball, and that ended up being their downfall for tonight's game.
I've been saying that I think it's a lot to do with the physicality of the game and what Miami has been bringing to this series, the same physicality they brought against the Bucks. And for me, I know I said it to Richie, he disagrees with me, but I think there's some sort of mental aspect that has gone into this series where the Knicks are defeating you mentally after the first game, and it's hard to recover from that. And it just, we thought game 2 was good, but as I told Richie, the series could have easily been 3-0 and completely.
Well, I mean, they won game 2, so I don't think the mental aspect was there, but then you go to Miami.
Saying is game 2
series tied 1-1.
I think to be honest, I think their spirit started. I said it on my little solo video yesterday morning that I felt that the Knicks are worried a little too much about what the refs are calling. They're a little too worried. And, I'm not defending all of the calls, but I will say this, and I think you guys will probably agree with me here. Teams get rewarded for hustling. If you're looking to get bailed out every time down the lane, if you're doing a little too much flopping, or if you just don't look that sharp on offense, perception becomes reality. And it is hard to sell what you're trying to do sometimes if you're not playing sharp. The Knicks, so many unforced errors. You got Quentin Grimes and R.J. Barrett under the basket, no Miami Heat player near them, not grabbing a rebound. Nobody calling for it. That leads to a Jimmy Butler foul, 2 easy points. Julius Randle, second chance points. Run somebody over, offensive foul. Let me tell you something, man. and I'm not even attempting to be funny. I want Julius Randle gone. Figure it out. Move him. He is not for this team. He hinders this team from being better.
I wouldn't say get rid of him. I would if you guys decide to go trade mode, off season trades, anything like that, I would consider him yeah, there you go, mama. Yeah.
Well, she knew that. She knew that when she met him back in Amway.
Yeah, she has every right to be pissed off with that man. Richie will tell you a story on that one, but I think you guys should keep Juju, but keep him as a role player and as a bench player.
He's not gonna take a demotion in his play and all that. No way.
Nah, he'll start crying and he'll work his way out of town. I want him out. I've been seeing a lot of my Giants brothers who also happen to be Knicks fans really spouting off on social media with their frustration. And listen, dude, it's not about the win and the loss. I do consider this season a success no matter how the next 3 nights go or if the next night is our final night of this year. It's more about knowing what we could have achieved and looking at one glaring reason why we're not achieving it. There's more than one. But, when I look at a guy like Jalen Brunson putting his body on the line, he has a bad ankle, and making some of the most difficult shots in this game, that's a man who wants to win.
Yes.
RJ Barrett taking it strong to the rack. Yeah, the execution might not be there, but these are guys that want to win. I don't feel that way when I look at Julius Randle, worried about picking up a foul, not challenging guys at the rack. I have an issue with that.
Juju was hurt too. Juju was hurt too. He hurt his ankle in the last series. The very last game.
Yes, he did.
I think
he was hurt too.
Juju to me, I firmly believe is the cancer of the team.
Thank you, sir.
I think he's been the cancer of the team for pretty much every team he has played for. He just never met up to, in my opinion, it took him from a physical standpoint to get to the level he is today. It took him years to get there.
Indeed.
But he never the leadership role is the one thing that's lacking, in my opinion, with him. And that's easy to replace. That's very easy to replace. Because it's not like he's a locker room presence.
You go to 2020. Sorry, Corey, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, all right. I just think that all your points are valid about Julius, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to keep him there if you're going to get an alpha and just have a guy that can go get those buckets like a Devin. I know Devin Booker types don't grow on trees, but you need a guy like that that's just going to propel this franchise to the next level, in my opinion.
It comes to with the Bucks, it comes to Giannis, in my opinion. That's where it's like, all right, you're obviously, if you're going to move on from Julius, that's going to be included in the trade. But what are you willing to give up to get a guy like Giannis in New York?
Shoot, I'll give him
you're talking about.
I'd probably move on from Randall. I'd probably be comfortable moving on from RJ.
You got to think
and give him a lot of draft capital.
He's arguably the best player in the league. So,
guys, look, we had this before the show started. You need Dame time. Dame time is your guy. He is the guy to get you over that next hump.
You need
Dame time.
Probably
he's not going to go to New York.
Well.
I tend to agree. I can see Dame time actually.
Why wouldn't he?
I don't see it. I can see Dame time actually in Miami.
That's the exact place I see him going.
Yeah, but that
Miami,
depends on what Miami does as playoffs. They're not going to. They're not going to even look for Dame time if they succeed and move on to the next round, or they go to the NBA Finals.
I don't agree with that. The Warriors acquired Kevin Durant after winning championships.
You do everything you can to get better in this league.
Always. And as a Patriots fan, you know that too. You know damn well you guys
take every opportunity.
I can see Dame time in New York. I'm not going to lie to you. I can see him in New York. I can see him in a new uniform next year.
I see Giannis before I see Dame time because I think Giannis is closer to I see Giannis as I think it's a 2-team race. I think it's the Warriors and the Knicks.
You got to look at it like this. Giannis is obviously the better player, but who can you actually realistically attain easier? Dame. So
you You can, but his comes with an exception is the fact that he has to approve on that trade, I believe. And we know he's got the ties with Jimmy Butler and Miami.
And he also has a good deal of miles on him, where even though Giannis did get hurt in these playoffs, I do think he's got some, I would say, less mileage on him. Currently, the Golden State Warriors are up a point on the Lakers. 5:49 left in the first. Zappy, where the hell did Draymond Green throw that ball? That was an interesting pass to the Lakers bench.
I'm slightly behind you. I'm at 6 minutes and 7 seconds, so I'll tell you in a second.
All right. We're going to move this along to capital potential tampering. The Indianapolis Colts, Jim Irsay, leading the way on this, are calling for a tampering investigation into the Commanders' inquiries regarding Andrew Luck's desire to return to football. First and foremost, Andrew Luck has made it clear over the years that he has no intentions of returning to the NFL. I believe he's 33 years old now. But as far as if he were, hypothetically, he is still property of the Washington Commanders. Excuse me, the Indianapolis Colts. Therefore, they would have to go through the right channels. So this is going to be very interesting. And when you think about all the dirt that has been flooding in the direction of this team going back to Dan Snyder, essentially being forced out of that ownership seat with a lot of scandals going on there, this is no joke. And if this is indeed leading to legitimate tampering, there's going to be some ramifications in a big way.
You know what I wonder is, obviously we're going to get more details as the days come. When did this happen? Was this under Daniel Snyder? When this happened, was that Daniel Snyder's final FU to Washington, or tampering is tampering no matter which way you look at it.
Indeed.
But it's interesting because of everything that city has gone through with Daniel Snyder, and then you throw this on there just as new ownership is getting ready to transition, and that
right after the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with this, boys. I'm interested to see what's going to play out. But if there's significant proof that, and I haven't seen the reports, I'm not going to lie to you. If there's significant proof that the Commanders were tampering with Andrew Luck's return, then yes, Indy has every right to be pissed off and go from there. But
Indy's going to get some compensation, and Washington's going to get tagged. It's going to be a two-way kind of deal.
Yeah.
Well, either they're going to get fined or they're going to lose draft picks.
Oh, fine, don't mean nothing. These guys are billionaires. They want.
No, they don't care about that.
Fine, nothing. But
whatever prevents you from
the NFL now, and it's Roger Goodell. So it's either going to be fined or you're going to lose.
No, it's
that's draft capital.
We now have the playbook on this, as we saw it with Sean Payton and Tom Brady and the Miami Dolphins.
You could even go back to the Jets, Belichick, and the Patriots, how that whole thing went down, or even with Parcells leaving the big.
But I'm going to go with the most recent incident that was, in fact, tampering. That we know for a fact the Miami Dolphins were reaching out to the Tom Brady while he was with the Patriots, and we know for a fact that they were reaching out to Sean Payton, trying to get those two together. They got docked the first round pick this year because of it. This is going to be a similar situation. There's no more.
Only had 31
it's no more going to be just
draft
fine.
Picks in round one this year.
Yeah, it's going to be first round capital, especially when it's big names. It's just going to be.
Oh yeah. They're going to basically, if this is proven true, Indy is going to acquire what Washington has, and it's going to be kind of painful for the beginning of the Eric Bieniemy era. And why do I say the beginning when he's the assistant head coach? Because I think Ron Rivera is on borrowed time. You don't get a title as assistant head coach and leave the Kansas City Chiefs if it's not a job upgrade. Bottom line. Eric Bieniemy wants to be a head coach, and he will be the head coach of that team. It's not a matter of if, it's more a matter of when.
And he's such the perfect guy, too, because this is a franchise that is literally going through a restart. And Bieniemy is that kind of coach that he comes in there and he's going to take over a young team, a talented defense, that's for sure. But he's there more for his offensive mind. I mean, that Washington team is now we see why they're tampering and trying to get a quarterback because that's all they need is a quarterback.
Yeah, they've similar to the Colts, oddly enough, they have struggled getting any continuity at that position. I mean, shoot, you really got to think about it for a moment and say, when's the last time the Redskins, Commanders football team, whatever you want to call them, had a legitimate quarterback that people truly respected? Because when McNabb got there, he was past his prime. When Wentz got there, he was all in his head and all messed up. I mean, it's a far cry from the Doug Williams era, the Mark Rippon, Joe Theismann era. It's been a long time. It's been a very long time.
It's been a long time.
And RG3 burned as quick as he rose.
Oh, yeah.
That horrific advice that he was okay to play.
They buried that kid to the ground, man.
Yeah, it was terrible.
He could have had such a longer career, and they ruined that kid.
And again, this organization that we're talking about, credibility has been an issue with this organization for quite some time. I mean, we always like to make fun of the Cowboys because it's kind of the easy thing to do with Jerry's resume and this and that. But I got news for you, man. If you really follow the history over the last 25 years, Washington has pulled a lot more egregious things than Dallas has in terms of the way they treat their players.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you. And the last franchise player that they've truly, truly had that was on his way to transcending the game and being that next level, obviously Sean Taylor on the defensive side, victim of murder, trying to protect his family. That was just awful. I remember that. It was the 2007 season.
Sean Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, very disturbing what happened there. Even most recently and this is not an organizational thing. This is just a horrible bad luck thing. But even what happened with Brian Robinson, it definitely was very eerie. When you think about what happened to Sean Taylor 15 or so years prior, then Brian Robinson, that could have turned out way worse. So it's a blessing that he's able to not only play football again, but to be alive. That could have ended way tragic. So, there's a lot of envious people in this world. And the God's honest truth is where the country is right now, so many people are really struggling. And, athletes and celebrities alike have to understand that, the Twitters and all the areas of showing your wealth, your happiness, it's essentially like a constant docu-camera going for your life. Not everybody wishes you well. And that's something that I want to stress to people that are in a position like that. You got to be careful because there are a lot.
I don't think the ends justify the means sometimes.
No, not at all.
Everybody wants the glamour and the spotlight, but there's pitfalls, there's downfalls, and some of them are not happy.
I mean, dude, you even take it back to what occurred with Nipsey Hussle. I mean, this is a person who went out of his way to do right by his community. And he never left his community. He wanted to leave it better than he found it.
Yeah.
And once again, envy, jealousy, senseless, completely senseless, taking out not just a famous rapper and an iconic rapper, but, you're talking about a husband and you're talking about a father.
Yeah, and it's your own people that'll do it to you.
Very sad. Very sad. It's always the ones closest to you that will stick in it and cut you. And I think that's the ugliest thing about what happened to Nipsey, because when I look at, the kind of positive impact that he was trying to bring the world and bring his own community, to go out like that, it just doesn't get any worse or any more disgusting as far as I'm concerned. But
yep.
You hope that there's lessons learned. That's all I can really say about this.
I wish there was, but it keeps happening, so I don't know what the lesson is.
Yeah, and it's going to keep happening. That's the issue with it.
A lot of people, especially in that genre of music, will be called out for keeping it real or leaving where they're from. But I must admit, when you see something like this happen to such a generous human being, I can't blame people for wanting to move on and get out.
Hell no. Like,
moving along. Sorry,
Yes.
I got stuck on a tangent there for a
you're
moment.
good, man.
Yeah, no,
I
you're good, dude. I mean,
another show.
that's an emotional topic, so it's like just
It's all relative. It's all relative. Gonna keep it something a little lighter here. Shohei the money. Ohtani's next deal promises to be historic. 524 is the number, apparently. Let me type this in a little more clearly. 524 million is the projected number. We did not see necessarily the length on years. Fellas, we know how good this guy is, and we know that he brings a skill set that is so rare. But guys, is this too much?
for that man, no, it's not. No, it's not. The guy is and hey, he's mama. I agree.
Whatever.
No, it's that's not too much for that guy. He is unbelievable what he brings to the game. Pitching in the batter's box. He is the Brendan Fraser of today's game.
You had an
he's
opportunity
he's the
to
scout.
reference Babe Ruth, and you chose Brendan.
Out of all people.
Great actor.
Yeah. What was his name in that movie? Remember that?
Steve Nebraska.
Oh,
Nebraska.
you're talking about. I know.
He is Steve Nebraska.
Oh my!
He is today's version of Steve Nebraska, and pay the man. Absolutely pay the man.
He's gonna get paid. It's astronomical though when you see. Like you take a guy like. Go ahead.
It's not, because we're going to look at a per year average.
Okay.
Thank you.
What did Aaron Judge get?
He got $40 million.
He got 9 years, $360 million, $40 million per year. How old is Aaron Judge?
30.
He's 30. Yeah, he's gonna be 31.
Shohei is 27, I believe.
27. Yep.
So, because of that, you're going to give him a 13-year contract for 524, and that's going to equal out to 40, or maybe it's a 12-year. But then you're going to add on a little more because you have to pay him more than Judge because of the fact that he could also pitch. So we're talking about a guy that might be an 11-year deal where it's 42.5 to 45 million per. I don't think it's out of the ordinary at all. I think it's going to happen. And
it's going to happen.
You have to look at the per year.
Yeah,
and we saw a lot of contracts last year. Brandon Nemo, for example, he got a big contract. Do you think Shohei deserves a lot more than him based off of that?
Oh, I made it very clear on Sergio's show what I thought about that Nemo deal. That was silly.
Yeah, no, I think the 524. It's like, oh my god, when you hear that number, it's the same with Patrick Mahomes.
Right,
when you got the 500 million, but when you actually break it down. And you look at it at the per year average, it's like, oh, okay, well,
it makes sense.
Bad. So he'll be right there with Aaron Judge. He needs to get paid more than Aaron Judge. He should be the highest paid. And I think we're going to see a couple of variables go into this, and he's going to wait for other players that are going to be free agents this year to sign.
Well, let me ask you. I just want to make sure I understand. Why should your MVP be paid more than my MVP?
Your MVP, sir.
The real MVP. It's like when Ric Flair went to WWF, the real world's champion.
Hey, sir, just like you like to say, doesn't matter what they did last year. Aaron Judge has been on the IL, I mean. Mm-hmm. No, I think because of the way he could see the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand at such a young age. That's the big difference. Not to mention the fact that if you look at him from a pitching aspect only, that guy deserves a lot just from his pitching alone.
Where would you rank him amongst today's pitchers?
And it's the way that he handles himself. You know what I mean? Like,
no, he's a classy kid.
Look at the World Baseball Classic between him and Trout. He relished that moment, and so did Trout. He appreciates the game, and I would absolutely pay the man.
I think people are overlooking the length of the contract more than anything.
That's what they never look at.
That's why people were going flip mode about the Judge deal.
I don't I don't think, and Ohtani, he's the best player in the game. He's the most talented. We've never seen this before. But would I give him 13 years? No, I wouldn't. I don't think the two-way aspect is sustainable, nor do I think
Not
the health
right
is
now, but
sustainable. I don't
not
believe
right
so.
now. But that's why
understand.
you give the longer contract, because then if you break away from it, it's easier to spread that money out and it's less guarantee in a shorter
Well,
time.
I said it with Judge. I'll say it also with Ohtani. This isn't the Albert Pujols deal that was a stupid deal in the grand scheme of things.
That was a really stupid deal.
But let me ask you guys
it's a
question.
lot to go ahead.
Where do you have
Powerful
Ohtani
guy.
in terms of pitching?
He's definitely top
three.
five.
He's
You got
top
him in
three.
the top five? Top
In
three?
all of baseball, yeah.
I agree.
And in the American League, he is definitely top 2.
Who do you have him behind? Garrett Cole and who else?
I think you can make this. No, that's what I'm saying. Him and Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
That's it. There's other starters that I need to see more from.
I would say Cole would be the only one I would even compare.
If DeGrom was not on the IL, he would be in the conversation. But because he's been in the IL, he is not going to be in that conversation.
So you think he
right
surpassed Shane Bieber?
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's not a knock on Shane Bieber, but
it's not.
I think McClanahan is really good too, so he's up there.
Yeah, McClanahan is good. No, that's an interesting take. Because you know what it is? I know that last year, going into this year, rather, like the preview show, I was basing a lot of my opinions on Ohtani based on an up and down kind of year last year. Yes, he is very exceptional. But, you know, the whole MVP thing and the thing that I was still very, like, you know, tough on it about is that you're not hitting 300. You're not leading the league in homers nor RBIs. And you're a good pitcher, but I don't know if you're a great pitcher yet. So while you do many things very well, I'm not convinced that he had done anything great yet. But I will say this. Based on what I've seen out of him this year, he is a top 5 pitcher. I don't know about top 3. I got him in my top 5.
I think that
your opinions.
I think he overall, if he stuck to one of them, he would be a better pitcher than a hitter.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's you know, it's pretty wild. Like, you know, his team will waive the DH when he's pitching. That's just all kinds of crazy.
And
I mean, I love it.
It makes sense. I'm just like, damn, that's wild.
He is. He's the most versatile player in baseball. We can all agree on that.
That's what makes him so
I
great.
agree with that. I agree.
He's a great person. Like, he's a perfect guy to market the game. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
But having said all that, I don't think he's a better offensive player than Aaron Judge.
No, he's not.
That I will say.
I didn't say offensive. I said versatile.
No, I think there's actually.
No, I know what you said. But once again, he pitches 1 day a week, sometimes 2 days a week. He plays offense every day a week.
I would argue there's several hitters better.
Yeah, but
here's my argument to that,
which makes him the most valuable player.
The most versatile player, not necessarily the most valuable, because at some point, winning has to matter.
Yeah,
and I've been on this for a while. Mike
also
has won MVPs, but his team doesn't win games.
Yeah,
right.
How valuable is he?
That's not entirely, though, on Trout. That's not entirely on Bryce Harper.
I understand that, but I do believe that when it comes to that, you got to win games. You got to influence the outcome of games.
All right, then here's the question for you. Aaron Judge comes back hot. He finished the season with 63 home runs, but the Yankees finished in last place.
Mm-hmm. Is he still the MVP?
And Shohei and the Angels happen to win the division. He puts together a 45 home run season, 115 RBIs, a better batting average than Aaron Judge.
Well, that you lost me there because that ain't happening.
Well, their batting averages have been like this all year long.
In that
let's
case,
just say he has 15.
We're in week 6 or 7 of the season.
Let's just say he has 15, 16 wins as a pitcher.
But my point, no, you can't. The pitching does not go into MVP consideration. That's why they have the Cy Young.
He's right about that.
My point is that you say your team needs to be winning the division, getting to the playoffs. If you guys finish in 5th place, and miss the playoffs while the Angels are winning the division with Shohei hitting less home runs than Aaron Judge, Shohei gets the MVP this year.
I agree. I just don't think the Yankees are going to miss the playoffs, but
I'm not sure about that one. But
that's the example I
but
wanted
I
to
think there's
give.
a distinct possibility that a fifth-place Yankee team might have more wins than a first or second-place Angels team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the American League East, everybody is over 500. We don't have an Oakland Athletics in our division.
No.
No.
The Angels are definitely better. You got to give them.
No, they're better.
But
It's May. They were better last year too, until they lost 17 out of 20.
No, again, they lost a lot of pitching too. I don't expect the Angels to be winning the division.
No,
but that's not going to take away from Shohei, in my opinion, because what he does for the game.
No, I get it.
Absolutely, he's definitely important.
But what I do get annoyed with, and I will continue to drive this point home until my face turns blue. If it's not a pitching award, why are we talking about pitching when we're talking about MVP voting?
Yeah, see, I think they have factored in that he does both. For him.
Right.
They should. They should.
They're gonna factor in the physical part of it, the fact that he's out there 24/7, that he's making starts. But the caveat to that is when he's only hitting, he's not playing the field when he's DH. So that's the other part. So you got to look at his defensive side.
Yeah, because I mean, 4 at-bats and not playing the field and pitching a couple of days a week, it's impressive. Yeah. But is it as impressive as going from center field to right field to wherever the hell they need you and hitting to all fields?
That's why Judge deserved it last year.
Indeed. And that's why
has there ever been a year in baseball where one single player gets the MVP award along with the Cy Young award? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, Justin Verlander.
Oh, yeah, you're Clemens. Right. Verlander and Clemens did indeed do that.
So why can't this man do it?
I'm not saying he can't.
He could. Of course he could.
But I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Because in order to win the MVP, you have to be like literally the best offensive player. That's like an assumption and a stretch that he's going to end up there. The man has yet to hit over 300 on a year.
I think you could argue Pedro should have won the MVP when he was.
Pedro should have definitely won the MVP, and I can't stand him, but that is a fact.
Hey, at least you're admitting it.
The captain's coming back tomorrow. Can the Yankees turn things around before it's too late? I will say that I do appreciate Harrison Bader's immediate impact since coming back.
Good.
I love watching that guy. I really do. He's awesome.
Yeah, you just gotta hope he stays healthy because he was traded for one of our homegrown talents in Jordan Montgomery.
This is what I like about him. And I watched his interview the other day, and they asked him, were you taught by your parents to be excitable? And he was like, no, I don't think that's something you can teach. You either love the game or you don't. And I love the game. That's what he said.
Bingo. Yeah.
Bam.
He's definitely a spark plug that this team needs because you need guys that bring that energy because, at the end of the day, we've established that Judge is the most talented player. He is the captain.
Yeah.
LeMahieu coming off an off year. He has his moments in the early going. But ultimately, I think it's Yes. Ultimately, I really think it's been the injuries that have been the Waterloo so far. And I said this on my video. I'm not happy with what the Yankees are doing.
Not happy
at the same time, with those amount of injuries, to have a winning record, it could be a lot worse.
I'm not as sour on them as most of the fan base, but that's just per usual with the fan base. They tend to kind of like blow their gasket when the wind blows. So,
I mean, Rich, you stated that, this may be the only division that had 4 teams go to the playoffs.
Indeed.
I am completely on board with that.
There is a distinct possibility. It would suck if we're the one that's not in there, which is a possibility.
Well, you have 4 21 teams in that division, while the Rangers are the only other 21 team in the American League. So, that says a lot about the Central, and it also says a lot about the rest of the AL West, where you look at the decline of Seattle, Houston going through their woes.
Yeah,
right
Seattle.
They've been a disappointment thus far. It's early, but they've been a disappointment.
Do you think Houston is legitimately going to be average, or is this just too early?
No, I think Houston. It's when you're losing your pitching.
It's too early.
I don't think it's too early at all. I think. 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 I think they're going to lose this division real quick because other players are going to try to make up for it. And the other thing me and Richie were talking about, the one thing they need to do, I'll let Richie say it because he beat me to it earlier today, but there's one move they need to do if they're very serious about this season, and that will tell a lot.
With the huge injuries pertaining to pitching, and obviously Verlander's a Met now, if they want to keep pace with what a team like the Rangers, who I think is actually going to be around most of the year, all the year, they're going to fight for that title. I think you got to trade for a pitcher, and I think you have to move a player that is very popular and has been a huge part of what they have done, but is starting to fall out of favor at his own position. I'm talking about Jose Altuve.
Wow.
When you think about, there's one pitcher that stands out to me that this trade could make sense for both sides.
It's a hot take.
I would deal Altuve to Philadelphia in a package deal for Aaron Nola, who's not happy in Philly and wants out, and they're not going to keep him anyway.
That was literally the conversation we had earlier today, and before he could say it, I said what he was going to say. I said the player. It's just one of those that when you look at what the Astros have right now at that second base position and how well he has done,
he's very expendable, dude. Don't get me wrong. He's still an October performer and a guy that you want on a championship caliber team.
That would be a ballsy move. Do you think that would ruin some of the culture there, though? I don't know, man.
No, I think we would see the culture actually improve because when you think about the Astros,
the buzzers.
Yeah, that's almost the last piece to 2017.
Yeah.
So
and Dusty wasn't there for that because I hate what AJ Hinch did. Fuck you, AJ Hinch.
Yeah, there you go.
And I hate what happened in general. It's not just my team, the Dodgers, the Rays. Other teams suffered with this shit.
Yep.
But the thing is, Dusty Baker brought in a class back into that organization, and Dusty did it the right way.
He did.
He did it the right way, and he has all my respect. They kicked our ass, but they did it the right way.
That's a really hot take. I don't know if they have the stones to do it, but
no, they have the stones. They have the stones. As a matter of making it happen.
He was expected to be the World Series MVP, and then we had a young, talented kid who not only got the ALCS MVP, he gets the World Series MVP. You know, it's make all the reasons to sit there and say he's the face. It's time for the youth,
right?
For Houston, Houston's in great shape, but that is where I will know how serious they are about this year. Because when you lose a couple of your pitchers, Luis Garcia, for example, to Tommy John. That's a big blow for any pitching.
That is a huge blow, man.
I think losing Verlander is more important than people think. Even if he's not doing much with the Mets, it's still very important, culture-wise, clubhouse-wise, all that stuff.
Yeah, it was a little weird how they were so comfortable.
Veteran, all-time, everything.
But to Zappy's point, another guy linked to the 2017 times. So there is other motivations other than age. I do believe that when we talk about culture, you asked a question about culture. Part of that culture is tainted because of the past. It cost Carlos Beltran a job being the manager of the New York Mets. I did want to pause you guys for a second and ask an honest question. If the New York Yankees missed the playoffs, right? Let's just say missed the playoffs. Underwhelming year, 85, 86 wins, just below the Yankee standard. And knowing what we know about the damaged goods trade for Frankie Montes, or what looks like a horrific trade in the early going for a Carlos Rodon. Is Brian Cashman in trouble, and does that go along with Aaron Boone?
Well, Carlos Rodon not a trade. It was
100%.
a free agent addition.
No.
Yeah, it was a free agent addition. I was thinking about Bader Montgomery when I said the word trade in my head. That's another one. Bader, I love him, but he's
the thing is, it's so early to tell right now because the amount of injuries that the whole team has had. And the fact is that we're still playing over 500 ball with all these injuries.
I think it's to be determined.
And you know what I mean? So it's like you can't that's especially right now.
Well, it's a hypothetical question. I'm saying if the Yankees miss the playoffs, do these guys
miss the playoffs? If they miss the playoffs, yes. I think both of them are gone.
They have to go because if you guys miss the playoffs, that means since last year's trade for a Frankie Montes, you have been mediocre to average at best.
For the better part of 5 baseball months, this team has been playing just a shade over 500 ball.
Yeah, mediocre. Yeah.
So when you the amount of money in the offseason after you already invested to bring in a Frankie Montes and you go get a Carlos Rodon, who I thought was good. It was like, wow, that's a great signing for that rotation.
That's just bad luck.
That's bad luck.
But it's pretty wild how you acquire him and now all of a sudden it's chronic back issues.
He
didn't have these chronic back issues before he got acquired. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's a responsibility when you're throwing around that kind of money.
I understand that, but you have to have hindsight too. Like you can't just yes, the results are terrible right now, but I highly doubt they looked at Rodon and they're like, oh yeah, that back is fucked up.
Well, that's the problem, that they gave him all that money and didn't look at that part of it. This man does have a history of injuries.
Skinny boys, I'll be right back.
It's a lot of money. I think the point I'm making, Corey, it's a huge investment to get wrong. You got to get an investment like that right.
Yeah, but it's to be determined whether they got it wrong.
Well, that's fair. You got to see the man pitch, but it's just
that's
so
the
disheartening.
reason why we're talking about it. But if we come to the point at the end of the season, you guys are there. I think it's safe to say that part of the reason was because Rodon probably was not a part of the pitching rotation for very much of the season. I think we can go with that assumption because I think if he comes back and pitches for this team, that team improves. I think that gives them
into
plus
the direction.
5 wins.
It's trending in the direction of you're not going to see him until the second half of the year.
They need him though because they're going to get Severino back, but that's always a question mark about his availability.
And I am laughing at him a little, getting so annoyed with the organization about I shouldn't have to do this simulated and I shouldn't have to do that.
That's just the kind of the way he is, though. He's a little fiery.
Yeah, but I'm like, dude, with the amount of time you missed, they better take every damn precaution.
Right. But, like, they need Rodon. They don't have a chance without him.
No, because, Cole is going to be Cole, and he's always going to be Cole. And for the most part, he's in the Cy Young conversation year in and year out.
And you also can't expect him to be perfect for 30 starts. It's not possible.
It's a lot of pressure, dude. It's a lot of pressure.
Even if he was, there's no guarantee they even win all those games. So,
not by any means. I want to change gears here for a second. With the NFL schedule release coming up this Thursday, Zappy and I were definitely getting excited and going over potential matchups that we might see in week 1. Yeah, go ahead.
I was clowning you earlier today that Garrett Cole, that the Rays are his daddy.
Uh-huh.
And what did I say his record was?
I don't recall.
I said 2-13, I think.
Alrighty. All right.
Now, the Rays are his daddy. I'm now looking at his record against the Rays, his ERA, and 15 appearances. What do you think it is?
Before you even tell me, is this including his time with the Astros and Pirates or just with the Yankees?
If it includes the Astros, then I think does that matter?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm kind of curious because I care about what he did with the Yankees, not necessarily with the Astros.
All right, so 2 of the games are against.
I was in attendance for 1 beatdown.
Okay.
All right. Are we doing trivia here? Because I want to start the.
I just wanted to. He's 2-7 versus the Rays in his career.
3.52 ERA. Yeah.
Yeah,
but that ERA is good. 3.52. That's not terrible.
It's not actually amazing. But anyways, let's go.
If Ohtani did that and hit 40, they'd give him the MVP. For Garrett Cole,
right?
Young. All right.
On their knees for Ohtani on that.
Absolutely. NFL schedule release coming on Thursday. Zappy and I have flirted around with some ideas about what we think should be the premier matchups for week 1. It's kind of been sort of hinted, sort of leaked that the Thursday night game, of course, the defending champions always get the home game on Thursday. That would be the Chiefs. You might get your instant Super Bowl rematch against the Philadelphia Eagles. I would have to think that, there's a possibility for other teams that are going to bring in ratings, whether it be Buffalo, Cincy, maybe even the Chargers. But my opinion is it's going to be Eagles at Chiefs week 1.
Normally, in the past, isn't the AFC Championship game, isn't that primarily the number 1? And not the Super Bowl rematch?
Dude, the defending champion opens on Thursday every year.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that. But when they move on and they win the Super Bowl, and don't they primarily go against the AFC or NFC Championship?
It depends if the schedule fell that way.
In the old NFL, they used to do things like that because there was less scheduling rotational deals because the divisional expansion was a big part of that.
So with the way the NFL does it now, obviously we know the defending Super Bowl champs open up that Thursday night game. They have not had the opportunity since we started with the Thursday night opener to have the rematch of the actual Super Bowl champs at home versus the losing team of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we've seen it. We've seen it in previous years, to Brett's point on Monday Night Football, with AFC and NFC finalists. We saw that often with the Niners and the Cowboys, or the Niners and the Giants back in the day.
Patriots, Chiefs. We've seen that how many times?
We've seen that. But, yeah, I think that's the matchup for Thursday. I think it's the most sensible one. I almost think it's too obvious not to just say that's your opener. Eagles at Chiefs. And I think it's the right choice.
And you look at the Chiefs' schedule, man, and I love it because even if it's not the Eagles, which it should be the Eagles, it's really hard to make an argument that it's not going to be. But you could sit there and say the Bills.
You could.
The Bengals.
You could.
Yep.
The Chargers.
You could.
Yep.
Those are 3 right there that you could easily put in that position if you were not playing the team you played in.
It's the reason why it's going to be the Eagles is because it just happened to work out that way, where they're going to play each other the next year anyway. So it worked out that way. Now, the 9/11 game, which is a Monday, personally, this is my take on this. It should be the Jets and the Giants, period. That should be your 9/11 game. It's not going to be.
It's not going to be.
And Zappy made a good point. While we honor those lost that day, it's not a happy day, so to speak.
No.
And I think when you look at a rivalry that only gets to happen once every 4 years, maybe a little more frequently now if you base it on divisional standings, because that is a factor now too as your 5th interconference game. Point is, it doesn't happen often. So in that regard, I could understand maybe with the heightened emotions. And I also think that the NFL wants to do a good job of rolling out the carpet, so to speak, for Aaron Rodgers as his first primetime game.
Right.
I've been seeing a lot of arrows pointing to the Patriots making the trip to MetLife week 1 and facing the Jets.
Think about it, man. Like, I've presented an argument about 9/11, why it should be the Jets, why it should be the Giants.
I'm okay with as long as one of them is represented. I'm okay with that.
But when you look at the actual storylines of the Patriots and the Jets, we're now getting into Bill Belichick. We're getting into what he did as recent as last weekend during the NFL draft.
Oh, yeah.
And we look at the way the Patriots-Jets game ended the second time around with a punt return for a touchdown.
There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history.
As long as it's Jets, Patriots, Giants, Washington, as long as it's any one of those 4 teams.
Shit, I'd even be all right with the Giants hosting the Patriots on Monday night.
Yeah, they should be showcased on 9/11.
But I do believe what happened today,
that's the game.
After what happened today, Washington is going to be a noon kickoff on Sunday.
Yeah, they're going to try to. Washington is not grabbing headlines for the right reasons.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to get headlines now, especially with this tampering bullcrap.
That's why
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen on 9/11 now.
Shouldn't have changed their game.
I think it was a long shot even before that, because at the end of the day, you want to get ratings on these.
Yeah.
When you're rolling out your new season, and the Washington just isn't exactly offering that right now.
No, I agree.
And, the Jets and Patriots, now granted, the Patriots are usually the ones that are in the driver's seat in this rivalry, with the exception of the season where the Jets handed you guys a painful playoff loss. And, everybody talks about the 07 Patriots as the greatest offense of all time, which I tend to agree with. But the 2010 Patriots were a damn good team, too. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like LaDainian's a little bit of revenge for losing to the Pats with the Chargers.
What would you think about Jets and Chiefs and then have the Eagles play the Giants on 9/11?
The Chiefs and Jets game, I believe, is no, it's not happening.
They're not scheduled this year against each other?
Or
you want ratings? That's the best way to go.
Yeah, but you can't just put a game on the schedule just because you want to. They have to be in rotation.
I believe that game is in New York. Let me double check it real quick.
I know they have a formula for how they schedule it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we already know the schedule. We already know the opponents.
No, the State Farm Bowl would be pretty cool, especially now that there's a new element. Because honestly, I think since the Jets acquired Aaron Rodgers, they immediately show up at the table just with the appearance of Rodgers as a top 4 AFC team.
Yeah, prime time.
Top 4 AFC team.
Number one, they're going to have prime time games.
You know what?
My thing, and I don't think the AFC East plays the NFC North this year. I think we played them. I think we did it this past year.
NFC East, AFC East play each other this year.
Yes, okay. The AFC East against the NFC East, and the
so that game. Aaron Rodgers versus the Green Bay Packers is not going to happen this year, obviously.
No.
Sucks to say it, but I wanted to see that.
I'll be honest with you, dude. After the Favre one with the Vikings, it doesn't really mean as much to me as you would think. And I think it's because Rodgers left on better terms than Favre.
Well, I actually think more.
No, he left on the same terms.
No, he did not.
I don't think he left on better terms.
I think
he
more
left
fans,
on much better terms, much more professional terms.
I think more fans hate Aaron Rodgers than they did Brett Favre.
Yeah.
No, but that has nothing to do with how he left the organization. He left the organization much more professionally. He wasn't showing up in helicopters looking at his replacement.
Right, no, that's
Favre watch, dude.
And that's why
the Favre watch. Showing up to Lambeau like John Rambo? Come on, dude. Jumping out of helicopters with Deanna.
I forgot about the helicopter thing, man.
The Favre watch, dude.
I forgot about that.
This asshole says, I'm going to retire after they lose to the New York Giants. Then 4 days later, after the NFL draft, after they draft a quarterback because he retired, guys, I want to come back. So now you put the organization in a very horrible place because they already made a commitment to Aaron Rodgers. I do believe that Rodgers kind of knew that they drafted Jordan Love for a reason. And I do think that the Green Bay Packers were getting to a point where they were comfortable with moving on from Aaron Rodgers.
What's funny to me is that Aaron Rodgers was very direct on, they didn't give me weapons to succeed. But those very same weapons that he had in Green Bay, he's bringing to the Jets.
Well, I mean,
come on. Think about it.
Yeah, they are, but
I also think some of that complaining. I also think some of that complaining is predicated off of a very real fact. Aaron Rodgers has thrown one touchdown pass to a first-round pick. So, Mercedes Lewis, that's it. That's hard to believe, Brett.
That's amazing.
What about
what about nobody? That's a fact.
There's no one.
No, the Christian. What's his name? Christian.
He wasn't a first-round pick.
Was a second-round pick, sir.
Oh, he was a second-round pick.
Dude,
yeah, you're right.
He's the only one. He is literally the only one.
But he gets to throw to Garrett Wilson,
the reigning offensive rookie of the year. He also gets, on the opposite side of the field, a guy he's going to practice a lot against, the defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner.
So come fantasy picks, who are you picking, Mahomes or Rodgers?
Andrew Luck.
Oh, I would still take Mahomes. I would still take Mahomes over Rodgers. Hopefully Wags isn't watching this show. He might have only heard part of it, and now he thinks that Andrew Luck's back in the league.
I'm assuming you guys are going to be doing a fantasy.
He just wants to see his face.
Every year.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd like to be in on that.
Yeah. Let me see what's available in spots. We might have another one left. I will talk to our commissioner and see what's happening with that.
Okay.
Okay, so we established that that's probably the Monday nighter, the Pats at the Jets. I think we're in.
The only other game that makes sense for Monday night, but I'm going to say it's not going to happen, is because Fox will not release this game, is Dallas at San Francisco.
That's part of the reason why I believe Dallas is not playing on primetime week 1. I think they're going to be your 425 America game of the week.
I'll give you my prediction.
Go ahead, Zap. Give us your Sunday night prediction. This is for Sunday now, 9-10.
Whoa. I haven't even said my Monday night prediction.
Well,
look, you think about the history this year. We could talk about all we want to talk about, but we're going to look at a couple of comparisons. Josh Allen has been getting a lot of hate, especially after his injury and for the way he finished the season playing, where he's being compared to as Dak Prescott. And then a lot of people are comparing Dak Prescott to Josh Allen because if you look at them from a statistical standpoint, it is pretty much mirroring each other. So now we talk about Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. This is a team that has been on primetime football for the last 4 years. 4 years. When they weren't on primetime, they were coming off of not exactly great seasons. We're talking about a team that has now been 12-5 consecutive years, and who doesn't like to watch Dallas lose? The ratings will be through the roof just because it's Dallas. We saw it last year with Philly. We saw it with the Giants. We saw it in other games. If you want ratings for the opening weekend, after you just had your defending Super Bowl champs play the defending losers, then you open it up on a Sunday night football game where Dak Prescott goes to Buffalo and you got Cowboys Bills. You got a rivalry renewed on national TV, especially when we talk about that it seems like the AFC East and NFC East this year might be the power divisions in the NFL. So you're talking about, well, you can't put the Eagles on Sunday night because they're already playing the opener. You put the second best team in that division.
It's got the 90s vibes with the AFC East.
I like that. I like that.
I like
Cowboys at Bills. Cowboys at Bills, Sunday night football.
I like it.
I like it.
I like one a little more. DeMar Hamlin returning to football, right? They're in Cincinnati this year. Wouldn't that be something if his first game back in the NFL is in the place where all of this happened, talking about in Cincinnati? That is my prediction. Zappy made a good point off air to rebuttal my prediction and said, not a bad idea, but a better idea would be if they do it more or less a year to the day, which is also a possibility. And knowing the NFL with all their storylines, I could see Zappy being right on that, but that would be my replacement for his idea.
There's the build up to it because we don't know exactly how much DeMar is going to play. Is he going to retain his starting position as a safety, or will it be less playing time where he's going to work his way up? Come week 1, come that first hit, he's going to be nervous. Whether it's in Buffalo, in Cincinnati, whatever the case may be. But I think when you allow the story to build up and you talk about him getting through that first hit on Sunday Night Football, taking down Tony Pollard after a gain of 27 yards and a first down, and you build up to him getting back to the starting position where we are now revisiting what is possibly a matchup for the number 1 seed in the AFC. DeMar's return to Cincinnati, where the injury happened a year to the day, possibly. That I like that storyline more. When you build that up, I think that gets the ratings through the roof.
Rick, can you give me an update on the Golden State Lakers game?
I'll give it to you.
I apologize. I've had my head down, but it's during a commercial.
Yeah, the Warriors are winning right now, but it's in a commercial break.
I think it's they're up 3 at the half, right?
Is it the half already?
Yeah. It's half.
3-point lead.
I think it's a 1-point lead at halftime.
1-point lead now.
We're coming up on the 30-second mark. I just want to say this really quick.
3-point
I do believe the New York Knicks will win Game 3. but I think it ends there. They're not going to get that
Sir,
game 7 force.
You guys lost game 3.
I'm picking Golden State to win tonight, and Golden
Did I
State.
say game 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Geez. We're going to win the final game in MSG, which is
Warriors win tonight. Look, at the first team to win
9
2 in a row in this
seconds. 9
series
seconds.
wins.